Hello, my name is Donny McNichol of Team Animation, and I'd like to talk to you today about Leadership Development Programme, in particular for the project's communities. We're going to just talk through some of the challenges about leadership development programmes, some of the success criteria and the structure, how you put one together and what the key kind of an idealised point of view programme would actually look like. So we've got here why leadership programs fail. There was a report by McKinsey in 2012 suggested that in order to overcome these 4 common mistakes in leadership development programs, organisations need to focus more on context. Why were they doing it? What were they trying to achieve? Present different perspectives and values, so the mindset, the diversity and so on. Tie leadership development to organisational projects, so embedding leadership development in relevant work, real life in the organisation, not making it conceptual. And also to monitor the impact, which we all know is very challenging. How do you actually show the value of this? But it is absolutely critical to be considering that all the way through. So with that in mind, that plus various other things, we started to think about, well, what would an idealised project leadership program look like, and through work we were doing with clients we tried to capture that and articulate it. So our own experience and research also shows there are other significant challenges, including designing, developing and delivering across diverse locations in different cultures and languages, requiring flexibility around what is provided, how and where, while you're still maintaining a sound or solid foundation that runs across everyone. Scalability and buy-in issues, where there may be maybe a successful pilot, as we've been involved in a few, but the rollout to a wider community was very challenging because of either the resources or the level of buy-in from different business units. Often different business units need to actually support and pay for this. If they've not been engaged in the process, then they would say the central functions pay, and that may not actually be the case. So those kind of things need to be talked about from the start. And there are challenges engaging individual learners. They may have particular issues around availability. It's not unusual for learners to have more work to do than time available. I'm sure you've all been there. Some learners, especially those at senior level, feel that they don't need to learn, effectively being too cool for school. So the actual programme itself has got to have a certain edge that appeals to possibly senior people, a global aspect to it, run with a major business school. And some managers are reticent about allowing senior and well-paid personnel time out for development. Often the feeling here is that these individuals got to where they are because of their knowledge and experience. Why do they need more of it and assistance with it? They seem to be effective. In these cases, it is again directly linking to learning, to personal and organisational outcomes, saying if this person develops in this way, this is the benefit that you will receive from it. So planning for success, well, one of the things we did is to try and identify with the clients what is it that they actually are looking to achieve. So here in this table here, we looked at from a customer, program, organisation and participants. So I've just left some of the success criteria in. So we identified these with a client. So from the customer's point of view, they're concerned about it's not negatively impacting their project performance. And if they may see people that working for them, going and doing leadership development work, they'd be quite happy as long as they can see some benefit from it, maybe even some sharing back into them. Maybe take another example, the organisation itself, the value impact from the programme contributes to delivering the organisation strategy. There is a link to it. And participants want to develop their careers within the organisation. So that could be another success criteria. People are not doing it and then leaving. So these are just some of the things you should identify. And in this example, it was around those 4 different broad categories that we had identified these success criteria. The most effective kinds of development programme are those that are often classed, the most ineffective are the ones you typically class as sheep dipping exercise. Everyone goes through the same short, intense development, regardless of what their individual needs are, their experience, expertise, learning style, strengths, development needs, anything. It's sheep dip. There's little warning that you're about to be dunked in no towel to dry yourself when you actually get out. It's quite a sad way of developing people. Some development programs we know of rely on an intensive program focused on one type of intervention, typically exclusively face-to-face workshops or exclusively e-learning. We typically advocate, as many others do, a blended approach of discussion, the practical presentation of current thoughts and practice, using a number of channels, multiple months, and ideally even longer over a year. There's the benefit of providing a variety of delivery channels, so helping to include as many different ways as learning as possible and over an extended time period, helping people to embed the new behaviours and allowing sufficient time and space for reflecting and practice. We also advocate that development is backed up by coaching and mentoring, always seen as being highly effective. So providing delegates with that all-important, non-judgmental and objective time out to focus on what's important to them, the issues that are important to them. So the blended approach I've just listed out here. So achieve what we've set out previously as blended approach typically includes these kind of aspects like face-to-face facilitator workshops, residential, non-residential, e-learning, one-to-one coaching, and so on. So to get that blended approach to whatever the solution. So whatever the particular challenges of a group or an organisation are, you modify and adapt the approach to suit. It's very important. So other development programs don't gain senior support or sufficient budget, so they sometimes can fizzle out after maybe one or two modules, leaving a very jaundiced view in the organisation itself. And we experienced this quite recently, where a multinational firm wishing to improve the capability and performance of a large project management community. Various issues led to the halting of the programme, including a change of senior sponsor, insufficient budget to allow reasonable momentum to be created, complex organisational politics, and demanding customer roles for those in the programme, making it difficult for them to fully commit to the programme. The latter point was also borne out of the fact that there wasn't a clear enough link between the individual and the organisational challenges. So there are many challenges that exist. So some of the things that you need to think about if you're developing is the clarity of the objectives. What are we aiming to achieve? The participants, who should be in the program? Is it talent? What level? Is it the people who are already performing, or those below with the talent who you wish to get to that level and fill the vacuum when they possibly move on or wish to develop further themselves? The time scale, how long it should last, and how should it be phased? The structure, how should it be structured in terms of the number of modules and type of intervention, assuming of course there will be modules. That's a big assumption. If there are modules, what experience are you expecting to give to people? What are the kind of topics and materials and the people that you would expect to be involved? And the people who to facilitate and design this have to get the expertise and knowledge to do this. Now, what I'm putting up is a structure of an idealized program. I'm just going to briefly talk through each of these different layers. What we've tried to articulate is the program typically runs over a period of time of from months to a year or two. We're involved in some ways in a couple of programs that have been very long term and have involved multiple modules. So the key one that most people relate to is the fifth one down, the experiential learning modules. Those are the things that normally hang it together, where the people are come together, work together in groups and imparted, if you will, with knowledge, bring externals in. So that's one of the key things, is those experiential learning modules typically. But also key to that is, one above that is the local implementation groups. People, once they've completed the module, must go away, meet up with their colleagues ideally, and work on particular issues and challenges to help the organisation and to help themselves. A level above that's the project execution. Ideally, you want the learning to give them an opportunity to execute it directly in a project. You may have heard of the 70-20-10 model. The modules may well give them the 10% of knowledge. The implementation groups will give them the 20% of working with others, getting feedback, but the 70% of the value comes from them going and actually implementing it. There's also one above that. There needs to be time around for personal reflection, time to be able to think. And if a person is so busy that they can have little time, they walk onto a module and leave again, there is no time to reflect and think about how this could be adapted to themselves and used. And of course there's another level, which is their personal life. Somebody who's possibly just been married, has got a child on the way, is moving house. Should you be putting them in a leadership development program? It's highly intense. They've got quite enough pressure of delivering on a major project and all personal things. So things to consider. If we jump back down again, in amongst all this, you also need to think about the community investment. If you're investing in these individuals, you need to think of ways of broadening it out so that the broader community benefits from this as well. And then ultimately, the bottom here, we've got mentoring and coaching. Critical. It may be challenging to give everyone in the program some form of coaching, but for particular people with particular needs, coaching is great. And mentoring is something possibly it's already available within the organisation, or you can try and identify mentors. We've been involved in doing that, even identifying external mentors to help people within organisations. So that's the structure of the program that you might consider and think about. So I hope that was of interest and you got some value. As I mentioned, there's some details. The book, part 4 of the book, captures a lot more of this knowledge that I've talked about there. So I hope you found it of value. Thank you for watching the video.